have a lot to talk about today. We are talking about accountability. So I want to start by saying accountability and this topic is not going to be your magical solution. I'm going to give you a lot of tips today. There's a lot of tips in this video. There's going to be a lot of ideas. There's going to be a lot of things that you can take away and tangible, apply to your goals. But it is not necessarily going to be the magic solution that you need for all of your goals. You still need to focus on the basics. The basics still need to be there. You still need to pick goals that matter to you, break them down, and schedule time for them. Okay, that's the foundation. In fact, speaking of the foundation, I actually just revamped the welcome here section in the community, if you remember, to kind of incorporate exactly what I'm talking about here. These steps are still important. You can't just pick a goal, take these tips from the accountability tips that I'm going to give you today, and expect that you're going to achieve your goals. These steps are still important, and you still need to do these first. These still need to happen. All three of these still need to exist before we can move on to the accountability layer of things. So I just want to remind you about that. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 layers of accountability. Step 1, layer 1 is accountability with yourself. Now, I'm going to give you tons of options today. Some of these options are going to work better for you because of your personality. Some of them are going to work better for you because of your particular goal. Some of them are going to work better for you because of your budget. Some of them are going to work better for you because of a reason I did not list. This is not an all-encompassing list. You do not need to do all of these things in order to succeed and achieve your goals. You do not even need to do a thing from every layer that I'm going to talk about today. These are just options. I'm giving you a buffet of accountability options for you to take what you need based on your goals, your personality, your season of life, etc. So some tips and ways to hold yourself accountable, just you, yourself, and you. Get really clear on your why. You have got to know why that goal is important to you. You are not going to be able to hold yourself accountable to following through on those steps unless you are good with the why behind that goal. And where did I hear about this? What book? I think it was in Jon Acuff's newest book, which was a lot. There was a lot going on in that book. I probably could use a reread because it was like almost too much content for one book, but it was called All It Takes Is a Goal. And usually I very much recommend Jon Acuff's content, but that book in particular, there's a lot stuffed into that. But one of the things he talked about in that book is that your why kind of needs to be a little vain. Your initial why kind of needs to be embarrassing. It kind of needs to be, and I'm probably not doing it justice to what he actually talked about in the book. It's been a while, but it doesn't have to be this deep rooted why. If your why for having a clean house is so that if your mother-in-law decides to show up, that you're not embarrassed when she comes over, great. That's a great why. If your why for wanting to lose weight is because you want to fit into a specific dress, okay. Your why doesn't have to be this deep-seated, I can't even think of another word other than deep reason. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes that is the reason, and that can really help you and inspire you and encourage you. But some days you might need to fall back on something else that might feel dumb or silly or whatever. You are not sharing it with anybody else. Nobody else needs to know your why. Nobody else needs to be involved. It's you. I'm talking about your own accountability. So make sure that why actually means something to you. Even if it feels don't pick a why just because it sounds good. No, you're not telling anybody else. Pick a why because it's actually your why before you start working on a goal. Okay, the next way to build accountability with yourself is by building your confidence. I talked about this recently on a coaching call, and that you have got to work on the small steps because you got to believe in yourself. You aren't going to be able to hold yourself accountable without believing that you actually can do it. You have to believe that you can do it. And the best way to prove to yourself that you can do it is by, spoiler alert, doing it. And the best way to do it is to have small steps and less goals. So if you are feeling unconfident, if you are feeling unsure about your ability to achieve your goals, cut back. Less goals, less steps. That may feel counterintuitive. You're like, okay, but I need to blow it out of the water. No, You need to prove to yourself that you can do the steps. You need to build your inner confidence. Nobody else. This is all about you. Remember that you can do these things. And the best way to do that is by cutting back and making things even smaller and even smaller. You know what's coming next. I want you to track your progress. You know that I'm a sucker for check marks. And I know that some of you are not motivated by check marks. And if you're not, that's fine. Again, this is a buffet of options, and this one is just not for you. However, if you are inspired by check marks, have it in more than one place. Have different trackers. Have your goal planner that you track your goal progress that I show you. Let me show you. I've got more. I am telling you things that I actually do, right? This is my workout tracker. I also have this. I also use the Habit app on my phone. So I also have that going on. What else? Like I have a tracker here about going through photos. Like my Kanban board. It's another way that I track things, right? I have so many ways that I track goals. And so there are some steps and some goals that I track and check off in like 3 places. Oh, I mean, my planner, it's also a whole bunch of check marks. So like there will be times that I will do a work step. Let me tell you. So there's a work behind the scenes project I'm working on right now. I have it on my goals, on my planner to do today. I have my actual like breakdown of the project where I'm checking things off. And then I also have it as a sticky note on my Kanban board. So when I do a step today, I am going to get to check it off in 3 places. Now, to some of you, that may seem ridiculous. You might be like, Laken, that's just unnecessary. You don't need to check something off in 3 places. And here is why. For me, I do. Because the daily planner is me seeing the progress I've made today. It's me seeing the steps that I'm taking today and what I'm working on. The project plan is me seeing where I'm at in the overall project. How far have I made it? What step is next? The Kanban board is my plan for the week. And it's my progress for the entire month. And I can see my progress for the month. Again, it doesn't take me that long. I understand that some of you have felt, and I've been there too, where I've gotten in the trap of planning instead of doing. This is just my system and it works for me. And it may seem like a lot, but I promise you, if you find the system that works, you'll find the groove and the balance for yourself. The other way to use tracking as accountability is by just writing it down. What I mean by that is don't try to change anything. Don't try to make any adjustments. Don't even set a goal, but actually track the information. This is used a lot with people that are starting with nutritionists by actually just writing down what they're eating. Don't try to change it. Don't try to make adjustments. Just write down what it is that you're eating. I've done this before with, I'll just escape my head, but I'm doing it right now with 2 different things. One is my Apple Watch rings. And all I literally did was download a free calendar from the internet, freecalendars.com, downloaded it, printed it out, and I'm writing my Apple Watch rings numbers. It's not a goal. I'm not working on this, but by the act of writing it down, it is making me think about it. It's making me more thoughtful. It's holding me accountable, even though it's not a goal. And then the other one I'm doing is my screen time. And then I also worked with somebody in the community who was talking about just like going to bed. What is it called? Where you like stay up late scrolling instead of like actually just going to bed, and you know that you want to go to bed and you want good sleep, but then you just stay there and like scroll your phone. So she started just writing down what time she was going to bed. There wasn't a goal. There wasn't a plan. It was just literally like, I'm going to write it down every day. And that would encourage her to put her phone down and actually go to bed. Okay, I'm going to have to keep talking faster and stop with so many examples. We're never going to make it through. This is going to take up the entire call. 2 more, accountability with yourself. Set a timer. Time yourself. Say 10 minutes. How much can you get done in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever the number is. Brittany was talking about that in the wins, doing 5-minute increments. Set a timer and hold yourself to doing whatever it is that you need to do just for that amount of time. And then the last one is to set a deadline. But find a way to make it non-negotiable. Don't just be like, I'm going to do this by this day. Find a way to make it. This one actually could go in the other levels as well, because you might need to tell somebody else about your deadline. But setting a deadline is a really great way to hold yourself accountable. Okay, next level of accountability is accountability within your circle. So these are within the people that you know. These are your friends and family, spouses, roommates, children, parents, whatever. So ask somebody that you live with. I promise you, they want you to succeed. They want you to be successful. So ask for their help, ask for their support. I am really bad at this. Sam will constantly tell me that y'all know more about my goals than he does. I don't tell him about my goals. Now, the good news is at this point, I don't necessarily always need him. Like I need him in other ways and not necessarily in supporting my me with my goals. But if there is a goal that you have somebody that you live with, ask for their help. It's more my examples that are popping up into my head are the other way around. I, for example, always fill up Sam's water bottle first thing in the morning. I get up before him. I'm filling up my own water bottle. It takes me 1 extra second to also fill up his water bottle. And then his water is ready to go for the day. And then I will also if he's not on a call and I can't get in there and seal it, if I'm filling mine up, I'll also just go fill his up. It's usually not all the way empty, but that's okay. He's working on his water intake because he has asked me to help him with that. Ask the people that you live with what they can do to support you and help you with your goals. Another option is find a buddy, a friend, a family member working on the same goal. Have somebody and I don't necessarily mean that you have to do it with them. I mean, if you can, that's freaking awesome. But even just that you're doing the same thing. So I have talked about this before. You don't necessarily, and you probably aren't going to have this perfect, friend or relationship, family member that's like, you are my go-to for all my goals. We have all the same goals. And so you're just going to be my goal person. Now, if you have that, awesome. I love that. However, for most of us, I have different friends working on different goals that are similar to mine. I have a friend who also owns a small business. When I have business-related goals or wins or whatever it is, I talk to her about them. I use her as accountability. I share things with her. I tell her, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm going to do. And here's when I'm going to do it. And I use her for that accountability. I had a friend who I was planning a wedding with at the same time. And her wedding was 2 months after mine. So it was like, what are we doing? What are we working on right now? And holding each other accountable to getting those steps done for our wedding. And then subsequently pregnancy and now babies. And not that necessarily we have goals in terms of babies, but we did when we were pregnant. It was like, is your registry done? Or your invites, your shower invites set out, et cetera, et cetera. Having somebody working on the same goals as you can always be helpful to bounce ideas off of. And it does not have to be, it's not a you win, they lose, they win, you lose. That's not how it works. We all win. We can all win. Find somebody who's working on the same goal as you. The other thing is find somebody who's working on a different goal. Find somebody who is just working on goals. Somebody that you can say, hey, I want to go sit at this coffee shop and do this online course. And they want to go sit at this coffee shop and read a book because that's their goal, is to read more. You can get together and work on your goals together, even though they're different goals. You can still have friends that hold you accountable, even if you are working on different goals. But utilize your circle. I promise you that I actually have this on here. The people in your circle want you to succeed. And I promise they will be willing to help you, even if they don't set their own goals. It's the next part. You might feel like nobody in your life sets goals. And that could be possible. It could be possible that you don't have any close friends or family members that set goals. And maybe they'd be interested if you approached them and said, hey, do you want to set goals together? This was the first year that my little sister actually reached out to me and was like, can you help me set goals? Can you help me? Can we talk about my goals? And she started using the planner and has actually achieved a lot of amazing things. In case I actually haven't talked about it here, my sister launched a business, which is amazing. And I'm so proud of her. This was the first year. So never say never. There could be people in your life that maybe they just aren't there yet. But even if they don't want to set their own goals, I've told you this before. My mom's not a goal person. She's not a planner. She's not a goal person. The only time she ever makes a list is for Christmas and vacations. Otherwise, it's just day by day. And that doesn't mean that if I ask my mom, hey, I need your help with this thing because I have this goal, that she wouldn't be willing to help me. I promise you, the people in your circle want you to win and they want you to help. This is a great point and question, though, from Rennie. I have a hard time asking for help. I will take the burden on completely by myself and instead get burnt out and frustrated. Deep-rooted expectations from the past, but that's not how your husband is. And that is absolutely the case. And I think asking for help from a help standpoint in terms of tasks is a complete other conversation. That's not what I'm getting at here. I'm not saying to ask somebody to help you, take a task off your plate in order for you to get things done. We can talk about that another time or later on if we want to get into that topic. What I mean is asking them for help with accountability. That's what I'm getting at, is saying, hey, husband, I said that I'm going to be in bed by this time. Can you please hold me accountable to getting in bed at this time? I've also learned that my circle has created resources and recommendations, especially since I've moved to a new location. Absolutely. Where did I hear has great resources? Yeah. Where did I hear this? Somebody talk about this. Like, if you think back to like some prior version of humanity, the phrase "it takes a village" came from it actually taking a village. We are not meant to do things by ourselves. I just went through a bunch of options to hold yourself accountable, just you, yourself, and you, and those can be helpful. But at the end of the day, we need each other and we need support and we need a village to do lots of things and to be the best versions of ourselves. Okay, last tier is accountability with a group or a professional. This is the one everybody goes to first. This is the one everybody assumes. And don't get me wrong, this is very helpful. And I'm going to give you some ideas here as well. But sometimes this is not always an option depending on what the goal is. So sign up for a class or lesson. This one's pretty obvious. You sign up to go to an in-person Spanish class, and that's going to help you focus on learning that lesson. Now, don't get me wrong, Duolingo is amazing, and you could do that at home for a lot less money and a lot less time, but are you going to stay accountable to it? If the answer is no, then maybe you need to go in person. Maybe I've been watching too much Emily in Paris and her in-person French classes, and maybe you'll meet a cute boy who also is learning French. A workout class in person, you would be shocked how many in-person lessons and classes exist. And, the irony is this starts at a young age when you're not even the one in control, because I didn't sign Lila up for swim lessons this summer because I was like, we have access to a pool. I don't need to swim inside. I can do all the same activity, like all the same things we do at swim classes. And I'm not going to say I didn't do them at all with her this summer, but I definitely didn't do them as much as we would have done them had we gone to swim class all summer. Which reminds me, I need to put that back in my calendar. Swim class starts so soon. So soon. Okay. Anyway, wow. I just realized that I made plans in the middle of swim class in a couple weeks because I forgot to put it in my calendar. Oops. We all messed up. Okay. Next one, you hire a coach or a professional. Okay. Sometimes this is the best option and you just need it at the beginning, right? Sometimes you just need an extra bump of accountability at the beginning to kickstart that momentum. It may not be feasible for you to hire a personal trainer through your entire fitness journey, right? That's expensive. But maybe at the beginning, you just hire somebody once a week to help you feel comfortable in the gym. Or maybe you just hire a cleaning service to get your apartment or your house back to baseline so that you feel good, like it's clean and now I can stay on top of it, right? Sometimes you just need that extra layer of accountability from a coach or a professional at the beginning to kickstart that momentum to keep you going. I think sometimes we get in our heads that this is a unnecessary thing. Like this is something I shouldn't be spending money on. Where did I just see this recently? Where somebody said that they felt guilty spending the money on themselves for something when like their family, that money should be going towards something for the family. And while everybody's finances are different, I don't know your budget, I don't know your family's finances, and I'm not here to tell you like you have to hire a professional in order to be successful. That's not the case. However, if what is holding you back is that mental block, that guilt that you're like, oh, instead of spending this money on me for a personal trainer, our family should be spending it on XYZ. Go back to that why. Go back to that why is this important to you, and think about how the ripple effect of your mental health, physical health, emotional health is going to then impact those people that you love, that you're feeling guilty about. The same goes for time away from them, by the way. Okay. Final tips. Couple final things related to accountability. Let's talk about rewards, because this is one that I also hear a lot. People talk about like, I'm going to set a reward and I'm going to buy myself. And this is something that works really well when somebody else is in control of it. I literally was listening to a podcast this morning where they were talking about, I don't know how I feel about the actual situation. Actually, I'm not going to talk about it, the example, but they were talking about having a reward system. And like, if somebody does something, you get them a massage. And that is something that has been like, we've been doing that with people in our lives for years, but we struggle to do it with ourselves. We struggle to say like, if I do this, then I will get this reward, without just like buying it and instead like just buying it, or saying, I don't have the money to do that reward, whatever it is. So a couple of things. Number one, it doesn't have to be that expensive. It doesn't have to be some extravagant thing to motivate you. It just has to be something you're excited about, something that's important to you. Use somebody else to keep you honest. Ask somebody for their help, whether you actually go ahead and buy it, but you can't have it. You give it to somebody else and they can't give it to you until you do X, Y, and Z. Another thing that I always try to do is I relate the reward to the goal. So for example, if it's a fitness goal, do I get a new fitness outfit? If it's a reading goal, do I get a new book? If it's a house goal, do I get a new plant? Like, have the reward relate to the goal. And then there's a typo here. If you can, have it be an upgrade. That has helped me in the past without just going outright and buying it. So I've done a lot where I get a new pair of sneakers. Well, I have a pair of sneakers, but they're old and kind of falling apart, but I don't actually like, it's not having it or not having it that's keeping me from buying it. And having it be an upgrade as opposed to just something that you don't already have. The next thing, when you are struggling with accountability and you're trying to think about how to hold yourself accountable, besides all these options that I've just given you, ask yourself these questions. What has worked for me in the past? What has worked related to my goals? When have I followed through on my goals? What have I done before? And even if it's not the same exact goal that you're working on, think about what has worked for you. We're all different. We're all motivated by different things. So whatever has worked for you in the past possibly could work for you again in the future. So ask yourself, when was I motivated? When was I accountable? And see if you can apply that to your current goal that you're struggling with. And of course, last, certainly not least, I have a community all about accountability. That is the purpose of the Goals with Laken community. And I'm actually on a mission to make some changes and some little things and tweaks to help hold you extra accountable, because I know that that's the layer that I can't just teach and talk about, right? It's an ongoing thing. I can tell you about these basics all day long. I can make videos about picking goals and breaking them down and scheduling them. I can make those. And I can make videos about accountability, but I can do it a lot better. And that's what the community is all about.